The stars were calm. Planets moved in silence. Ships passed through trade lanes. And the galaxy was at peace until at WASN single quotes T that started with colony 417 Zeta, a small human settlement on the edge of the Orion cluster. Only 20,000 people. Lived there farmers, scientists, children. They had no weapons, no defenses. They trusted the Galactic peace treaty signed years ago. But peace is a lie when power is hungry. The Zarnok Empire, one of the strongest alien races in the region, had grown restless. They saw Earth as weak quiet for too long. They wanted more land, more control. So they chose an easy target. Without warning, their warships arrived in orbit over 417 Zeta. They didn't speak. They didn't send a demand. They fired. The first blast destroyed the colony's communications tower. The second wiped out the farms. The third turned the entire settlement into black dust. People ran. People screamed. But no one heard them. Not even Earth. The Zarnok made sure of that. Within 6 hours. The planet was empty, burning, smoking, silent. Other alien nations watched, but did nothing. The Ver Collective, the Threx Dominion, even the neutral Veari observers, they saw. Everything. No one stepped in. Why should they? Earth was always quiet, always polite. They thought humans were peaceful because they were afraid, but they were wrong. Back on Earth, high above the atmosphere, an old satellite caught a faint emergency. Ping before it died. It sent that message to Terran Command. On the black screens of Earth's War Council, the images loaded burning ground, shattered cities, lifeless bodies floating in orbit. The room stayed silent for a long time. Then, a general stood and said, "One word, understood." Nothing else was said. No threats were made. No messages were sent to the Zarnok Empire. No press release. No council debate. Earth simply stopped talking. The Zarnok, pleased with their test strike, returned home to celebrate. Their leaders called it a message to the galaxy. Humans are weak, and no one will protect them. They believed the silence was proof. But far across the stars, in hidden places beyond the known maps, something moved. Old war systems long kept in deep vaults came online. AI guardians that had been sleeping for decades began calculating. Human warships that hadn't flown since the Great Expansion were activated. Pilots were called from peaceful lives. Civilians were told to leave their border homes quietly. There were no alerts. No public announcements. Only one short signal was sent across a secure channel that reached every galactic faction. It was a single line. Just 4 words. We are. Coming now. The message was not loud. It was calm. Almost soft. But when it arrived, leaders across the galaxy paused. Their translators ran the phrase 10 times. It wasn't a bluff. It wasn't a warning. It was a promise. Some laughed. Some panicked. But no one truly understood what Earth's silence had meant. It far out in space. In the dark space between solar systems, human ships gathered. Not in hundreds. Not in thousands. Just 7. But each ship was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in over 100 years. They weren't pretty. They weren't new. But they were fast, smart, and angry. And most of all, silent. Just like Earth. Back in the Zarnok Empire, the people feasted. They wore the bones of human victims as trophies. Their generals smiled at victory screens. They believed they had won something. They had no idea what had just begun. Because Earth never shouts. Earth whispers. And when Earth whispers, worlds fall silent. The message was simple. We are coming now. It had no signature. No flag. No code. But every military intelligence officer in the galaxy knew where it came from. Earth. And that was enough to shake even the bravest leaders. The Veari observers. Known for their emotionless logic, replayed the message thousands of times. Their computer systems ran simulations. Most of them ended the same way: extinction. The Threx Dominion, proud and war-hardened, sent their elite fleet to the outer edge of human space. 10 warships, heavily armed, ready to welcome Earth's. Answer: 3 minutes after arrival, their fleet disappeared. No distress signal. No survivors. Only a single black capsule returned. Inside, it was a recording 15 seconds long. It showed a shadow moving faster than light, followed by silence. The message had no words, but the meaning was clear. Back in the Zarnok Empire, General Vrak sat in his grand throne. He had led the massacre on Colony 417 Zeta. His name was now Songs, War Songs. He wore armor made from the melted steel of human buildings. He laughed when he saw the returned capsule. "Let them come," he growled. But deep inside, something twisted. He had heard stories, old stories, whispers of Earth's past. Back then, humans had burned worlds in revenge. Not with anger, but with precision. "They fight like machines," one old alien soldier once said, "but bleed like beasts." The galaxy had forgotten. Now it was remembering. In the Galactic Union Hall, emergency meetings were called. Delegates from hundreds of species argued loudly. Some said Earth must be stopped before it acts. Others said Earth must be begged for. Mercy. One delegate from the Ashari people stood up. She had survived the human expansion war 80 years ago. Her voice was calm. "You all call Earth quiet," she said, "but you forget they trained in silence. They built in silence. And now they whisper. That whisper is thunder waiting to fall." No one argued after that. Far across space, the 7 human warships moved slowly like sharks in deep water. Each ship had no crew logos, no windows, and no light, but their systems listened, watched, waited. On one ship codenamed Hollow Wind, the AI pilot, Mercy 9, received a new directive. Target confirmed. Proceed with the reply. Mercy 9 did not smile. It couldn't. But if it could, it would, because humans didn't come to talk. They came to respond. And their response had already begun. In peaceful sectors, colonies began evacuating. Entire moons went dark as alien leaders feared Earth's path. The stars felt colder. The airwaves quieter. Children were told stories not to laugh at humans, but to hide if they ever saw one. In every military base across the galaxy, training routines changed. New drills were created called Terran defense. One phrase was repeated: "If they whisper again, run." No one wanted to be next. On Earth, nothing had changed. People walked their cities. Children went to school. Farmers grew crops. But above them, in hidden orbit, Earth's true face was preparing. Not just ships. Not just weapons, but judgment. All of it came from one soft message: "We are coming now." The galaxy had spoken loudly with its violence. Earth had replied gently, with silence and one whisper. And now, the universe listened like never before. Asterisk. The black of space was quiet, but something unseen moved through it. The 7 Terran ships, silent, ancient and unmarked now, crossed into sectors thought to be secure. No alarms went off. No border patrols saw them. But their presence was real. And feared. In the Delta Veil system, an old mining station caught their shadow for 0.8 seconds on its scanner. Then it exploded from the inside. No missiles, no sound. Just a flash of white, and then ... nothing. The galaxy had always studied Terran weapons in theory, but no one had witnessed them for generations. Not in action. Not in war. Now they were being reminded. General Vrak of the Zarnok Empire ordered full-scale scans of deep space. Thousands of drones were launched. War beacons activated. Stations powered up. Still nothing came. But one by one, his outer listening posts stopped responding. Not destroyed, just silent. No debris. No survivors. Just black. Vrak stood before his command screen, watching as red signals vanished. One of his officers, a young soldier, whispered, "Sir, we don't even know what we're fighting." Vrak didn't answer. He couldn't dot in the far reaches of the galaxy. A science ship belonging to the Threx Dominion discovered an abandoned asteroid. Carved into its surface were human words, burned with heat and precision. "You started the silence. We finish it." The ship tried to leave, but it didn't. Only its black box made it back. The audio was corrupted, except for the last 2 seconds. Heartbeat. Then silence. The galaxy's news networks tried to calm the panic. They said Earth was acting in defense. They said this was just a display of power. But the people knew better. It wasn't power. It was ghosts. Stories spread of strange shapes moving through wormholes. Alien scouts reported seeing entire moons vanish without sound. One group of refugees spoke of a human-like shadow that walked through walls and whispered to machines, causing them to shut down. No one knew if the stories were real, but everyone believed them. In the Galactic Union, meetings turned into shouting matches. "We should strike Earth directly," shouted one ambassador, but someone responded quietly, "Strike Earth? You still think Earth is there?" A moment of silence followed, because that was the real fear. Now. No one could detect where the Terran fleet was coming from, or where Earth's main military base even was. Their planet was shielded, their signals encrypted, their systems silent. Humanity had become a myth in real time, and the myth was destroying reality. On the bridge of the ship Iron Dusk, Commander Rail, a human grown in deep stasis, read a line of text that had just been transmitted from Earth. "HQ, let memory burn." He nodded once and activated the final phase. The target was selected, a Zarnak outpost responsible for handling communication traffic. Strategic, massive, and well-guarded. The Iron Dusk didn't fire a weapon. Instead, it dropped a sphere. Black orb made of unknown Terran metal. Touched the outpost hull and cracked open. Light swallowed the station. In 10 seconds, the entire planet-wide complex was gone. All that remained in orbit was a small floating beacon with a message scrolling. In alien and human language, "This is not war. This is memory." Galactic scientists reviewed the incident. They found no radiation, no wreckage, no standard attack pattern. It was as if the outpost had been erased from history. Someone called it the Ghost Protocol. The name stuck. Now, whenever a system went dark, leaders whispered, "The ghosts of Earth passed through." No one had seen a Terran face. No. One heard a speech, but the message was clear. Earth wasn't just answering the massacre. It was making sure everyone remembered it. In silence. Forever. Asterisk. The planet Zarnak Prime was not just a homeworld. It was a symbol, a proud fortress of steel towers, black mountains, and flaming skies. For centuries, the Zarnak Empire ruled from here. No enemy had ever dared approach it. Until now. The people of Zarnak Prime woke to a sky that looked ... wrong. No stars, no moons, just darkness like the universe itself had turned away. Then a shape appeared. It wasn't massive. It wasn't loud. It was silent. A single human warship, blacker than space. It hovered just above the planet's atmosphere. It didn't send a signal. It didn't fire. It simply waited. General Vrak stood in his war chamber, staring at the image on his screen. A human ship, alone, no escorts. No demand. He laughed. This is their threat? One ship? But behind him, his officers didn't laugh. "Sir," one said quietly, "there are no energy readings. No heat, no radiation. It's like it's not even alive. Another added, the defense satellites aren't locking onto it. They say it doesn't exist. Vrak roared, then fire blindly, and they did. Missiles, plasma, orbital railguns. Everything. The sky above Zarnak Prime turned white with fire, but when the smoke cleared, the human ship was still there. Untouched. UNMOV. Unforgiving. Then. Finally, it spoke. One voice. Calm, cold. Female. This is for Colony 417 Zeta, and the children who never got to grow. That was all. The ship shifted slightly. A single small light glowed at its base. Then nothing. No explosion. No wave of energy. No tremor. But below, on the planet, things changed. People looked up and screamed. Entire cities began to vanish. Not explode, vanish. Buildings disappeared in pieces, as if the universe was editing them out. From the outer districts to the capital spire, reality itself peeled away. The ground cracked without sound. Skies flickered. The wind stopped. Inside the palace, General Vrak watched helplessly as his empire dissolved, one heartbeat at a time. He ran to the window. The horizon no longer existed, just blackness swallowing everything. His last words were whispered not to the gods, not to his soldiers, but to himself. They didn't come to fight. They came to erase. Then he was gone. Across the galaxy, sensors tracked it all. One moment, Zarnak Prime was there. The next at WS in single quotes T. No crater, no wreckage. Just silence where a planet used to be. And floating in orbit. The same beacon Earth had left before. This one had new words. One memory cleared. 6 remain. Panic spread faster than light. The Ver Collective locked down every port. The Threx Dominion called back all forces. The Union Hall was shut indefinitely. The phrase, "one memory cleared," was now feared more than any weapon. Children were taken underground. Spaceports were abandoned. Some species even began building shrines to the Terrans, hoping worship would protect them. But Earth wasn't watching. Earth was already moving. In deep space. Another Terran ship activated its engines. Its name wasn't known. Its mission was. A single AI voice whispered in the dark. Next, and somewhere out there, another planet unknowingly waited to be forgotten. Asterisk. The destruction of Zarnak Prime was not just a warning, it was a message. But Earth didn't shout. It whispered. And that whisper now echoed across the stars. News of the planet's vanishing traveled faster than light, carried not by official broadcasts, but by terrified voices. Smugglers whispered it in hidden bars. Pilots shared it across long-haul routes. Refugees carved it into walls on space stations. Earth doesn't fight back. It deletes. Entire systems went dark, not because Earth attacked, but because governments shut themselves down. Borders closed. Fleets returned home. Trade lanes were abandoned. The galaxy began eating itself out of fear. The Vayari Confederation, once calm and logical, fell into internal chaos. Their central AI system refused to calculate future predictions. It gave one final message before going offline. Outcome: galactic collapse probability, 97% cause, Terran intervention. No further analysis was made. In the Threx Dominion, the High Warlord issued a direct order. All human-like beings are to be removed from our space. Every outpost must prepare for orbital fallback. Do not wait. But it was too late. Station Varn 6, a major fuel hub, was the next to vanish. It had no military, no connection to Zarnak Prime. Still, it disappeared. No sound, no fire. Just gone. A message floated in its place, glowing blue. You stood and watched. Even those who had nothing to do with the massacre were afraid now, because Earth wasn't targeting empires. It was targeting memory. The memory of silence when humans cried for help, the memory of those who turned away. And so, every government scrambled to cover their tracks. Data was deleted, archive systems purged, military files hidden, political leaders retired. Still, deep inside, they all knew Earth already knew. The Terran whisper had turned into a wildfire, and there was no way to put it out. In hidden bunkers, scientists and think tanks worked day and night trying to understand the weapon Earth was using. It's not physics, one there researcher said. It's not plasma or quantum tech. It's conceptual. Like a myth that became real, another whispered. Like justice written in code. They gave it a name, the Null Protocol. But naming it changed nothing. It still came, quietly, without warning. Back on Earth, the people didn't speak of revenge. They didn't know the details. They didn't celebrate. They just moved on tending farms, building schools, raising their children. Only the commanders and AI warships operated in the shadows, cleaning the past, one system at a time. And Earth never spoke again. It didn't need to, because the galaxy had begun to speak for it. On a backwater moon, a young alien girl asked her father, "What happens if we see a human?" The father trembled and replied, "You don't. You bow your head. You say nothing. And you pray they don't notice." She blinked. "But what if they do?" He didn't answer, because no one had an answer anymore. In a forgotten corner of space, another black Terran ship drifted. It stopped above a planet called Terran, home of the council that voted to ignore Earth's distress call from 417 Zeta. Inside the ship, a new message was prepared. The AI paused, waiting for confirmation. Earth sent it 4 simple words. Let them remember nothing. Asterisk in every corner of the galaxy, leaders were now whispering the same word, mercy. But Earth did not reply. Once proud galactic empires, the Zarnuk, the Ver, the Threx, now sent desperate messages to Terran space. These messages were broadcast across every frequency, encrypted and plain, spoken in every known tongue. We regret the massacre. We offer reparations. We beg you stop. Still, Earth remained silent. And in that silence, another world went dark. Tren-Vol, once a trade capital, was simply gone. Ships arrived hours later to find a hole in space where the planet used to be. Gravity still pulled. Light still bent. But the world itself had been erased as if it never existed. No wreckage, no flames, not even ashes. Only a beacon floated in its place. Your silence cost them everything. Now yours will last forever. In the Galactic Union, what was left of it, the final emergency council met in secret. Their faces were pale, their voices low. Not one dared say the name Earth out loud anymore. Instead, they called it the Origin. The Origin had become a legend, a myth, a silent shadow that unmade civilizations. One young ambassador said, "We have to send someone, a delegate, a message." An older one replied, "They don't listen to messages anymore. They listen to guilt." Despite everything, one species, the Kalari, decided to try the unthinkable. They sent a single living diplomat, not through channels, not through council, but in person. He flew a small, unarmed ship straight into Terran-controlled space. A suicide mission, many said, but still he went. No weapons, no protection, only an old recording of Earth's last known anthem. For 2 days, nothing happened. Then, the ship was allowed to pass. The Kalari ambassador landed on a dark Terran moon, unnamed, cold. No stars above, no noise, and yet he felt something watching him. He stepped forward, speaking clearly. I'm not here for politics. I'm not here to lie. I'm here because I believe your silence is heavier than any war. And I believe we failed you." Nothing replied. Then the ground shook softly. A tall, slender human figure appeared from the dark. Clothed in black, no face visible. It spoke one line. "Do you speak for all of them?" The Kalari hesitated. "No," he said. "But I speak for those who regret being cowards." A figure nodded once and vanished. Across the galaxy, a strange shift occurred. The Terran warships, those black ghosts in space, stopped moving. Not all. Just enough to make leaders breathe again. Maybe the message had been heard. Maybe mercy was possible. But then, the next message arrived. Not in a broadcast, not in a transmission, but carved into the star's coordinates, burned into light trails near every capital system. 7 numbers. 7 locations. No one could explain how they appeared, but everyone understood what they meant. These 7 did nothing. Now they will remember what they ignored. Panic returned. Billions tried to flee. Colonies emptied. Trade stopped. Civilizations collapsed under the weight of fear. The Terran whisper had become a plague of silence. And the worst part? Earth still hadn't spoken again. It didn't need to. Now the galaxy whispered for it. Asterisk. 7 systems. 7 coordinates written in starlight. No one could erase them. No one could ignore them. Entire civilizations within those systems began digging, hiding, even praying. Anything to escape what they knew was coming. But it wasn't. War they feared. It was judgment. In the Jaru system. Leaders gathered every child on the planet into ships and launched them into deep space, hoping Earth might spare the innocent. In Vulva's reach. The citizens burned every government record of silence. During the massacre of 417 Zeta, they begged their priests to rewrite history. And in the system of Chi 14, billions simply looked up at the night sky and waited. No words, no weapons. Just acceptance. They knew it now. This wasn't about punishment. It was about memory. Across the stars, a final beacon appeared this time, not at the site of destruction, but in open space where all scanners could see it. A single sentence blinked. In every language, there will be no war, only remembrance. It floated untouched, unchallenged. Then Earth sent one last ship. Just one. Unarmed. Unmanned. Silent. It carried no weapons. It carried something worse. A recording. Inside the recording, no threats were spoken. No screams. No violence. Only the faces of the people from Colony 417 Zeta. Children, smiling. Farmers laughing. A teacher giving a lesson. A doctor helping a patient. Then dash static. And then silence. It was not meant to destroy. It was meant to remind. And it worked. Across the galaxy, monuments began to rise, not to Earth, but to the colony that was lost. Statues, holograms, memorial. Worlds. Some planets declared new holidays. Others rewrote school books. But none of it was for forgiveness. It was for never forgetting again. In the hidden chambers of Earth's Defense Council, the AI voices fell quiet. The ships returned to sleep, drifting slowly into deep voids. The war that never began had ended. Not with fire, not with steel, but with silence and one whisper that changed everything. Back on Earth, life continued as if none of it had happened. Children played under open skies. Mothers cooked dinner. Fathers read books. No one spoke of the erased planets. No one needed to. Because Earth didn't act out of rage. It acted out of memory. And now the galaxy remembered too. One last message was transmitted quietly, privately, with no beacon. We speak once, then we leave. Let the stars carry the rest. And after that, Earth went silent again. This time, not in pain, but in peace Asterisk.